What's up, deep thinkers? This is Robert from Existence First. This video is going to be about pattern recognition. Pattern recognition is a sign of intelligence, and so if you want to be more intelligent, you can focus on recognizing patterns better. That being said, I called my friend Johnny this week. He's a very intelligent guy, and he follows the stock market well, he makes a lot of money in it, but he does it like for fun. He's not like a stockbroker. He doesn't work on Wall Street. He's retired. Right? But in any case, I wanted to see what he thought of the market and the current economy based on all the recent events of having to stay at home and not go to restaurants and bars. And in any case, we had a discussion. We were comparing it to an earlier time period of. I was watching these documentaries to check for patterns, basically. And in the 1920s, leading up to the Great Depression, they were called the Roaring Twenties, meaning a lot of prosperity, a lot of excitement, and people were buying on credit. Like credit was becoming big, so people were buying without having the money for it. Okay, that's an important sign. It's like doing a little bit too much, like overstepping your boundaries, right? Same thing happened in the housing bubble, I believe, right? I'm not a huge in economics. I like psychology way better. But in any case, if you follow my train of thought, housing bubble, what was it, 2008? Houses were overvalued, right? And it was too easy to get credit and qualify for these home loans. And so eventually that caused a crash, right? And I can't help but think that the same pattern was happening in the Great Depression, or leading up to the Great Depression, in the Roaring Twenties, when people, according to this documentary, you could actually buy stock like using a loan. So you would, let's say you wanted to buy like $100 worth of stock, you only had to put $25 down because all the stocks were going up, up, up. So it was like almost guaranteed you would get the money. But obviously nowadays it sounds kind of risky. In any case, what's the pattern there? The pattern there is like a little bit like just doing too much, like a little bit unreasonably, like too much, like overinflated, right? Overinflated wealth, like, oh, I'm going to buy this on credit, like, So what happens there? You swing too far on the one side, and then you have to, because you went too far from the middle path, I think, who was it? Aristotle talked a lot about the middle path, the middle way. And because you went too far from it, then you have to swing back to the other side to counterbalance. Okay, very much like physics, like keeping equilibrium. Okay, so how does that relate to right now? Well, maybe people were getting too excited in the last 10 years. There's too much prosperity in there, right? And so then I asked my friend Johnny, I said, well, the market has just been going up since 2008, 2009, which is when I graduated college. And I said, it's just been going up since then. Aren't you expecting, like, isn't it time that we have like a crash to kind of balance this out? And he said, yeah. And he said, yeah. He said, I've been holding on to my cash. I haven't been investing it because I'm waiting for this crash to happen. And look, check out what happens. Now we have this crash. We just needed a precipitating event like this shelter-in-place thing. And yeah, so anyways, this is all economics. And by the way, this notion of the pendulum swinging back and forth, I believe that's one of the Hermetic principles, the principle of the pendulum, that there's seasons to life, right? Flows. I learned about that from the Kabbalion, which is a book, and also from one of my teachers, Rosh Dibazar. So shout out to him. Now let's make a big bridge. Okay, let's make a big bridge from economics to what? To psychology, which is what I like to think about. Now that pattern that I talked about of the Roaring Twenties followed by the Great Depression. Now that happens, we're talking decades, right? over the course, we're looking at a time perspective of like a decade, right? Going up and then crashing. What if we were to try to model the human mood or emotion in the same way, right? It reminds me kind of the disorder of bipolar, which, if you're not familiar, it consists of having these manic episodes, also called mania, where you just have this overinflated sense of self-esteem and so much energy, and you're just talkative, right? Think of the Roaring Twenties, right? You're just doing too much, right? And then that's followed by crash, a depression, right? So why do we call it a depression in psychology, just like we call it a depression in the economy, right? That's really interesting. So in any case, I'm looking to compare these patterns, and I'm looking for what is this principle of the cycling, right? Of the balancing out, the curve, the up and the down. Because we've got circadian rhythms also, you know. I just finished reading that book, Why We Sleep, by, I think it was Matthew Walker. He's like the world's leading sleep expert, but it was pretty interesting. It was a good book. And this circadian rhythm of, you know, the body shutting down at night, like restoring itself. Then in the morning, it becomes awake again with, you know, the light and the photoreceptors in the eye and the physiological responses, and, you know, core body temperature changing, and then there's this, you know, increase in energy, and then as the day comes to an end, then there's a winding down, right? So by looking at all of these patterns, this is again a technique of gaining perspective, of distancing oneself, and seeing the big picture. It also helps to predict, right? And when you can predict, then you stop having all of these emotional swings in response to these short-term events that you can't make sense of. Because if you can distance yourself and see how does this play a part in the bigger picture, in the bigger role, you're not going to be as emotional about it. Okay, and that's my goal. I don't want to go through my life being all emotional, not understanding things. I believe in human abilities, the human being's ability to use his intelligence to overcome any sort of potential threat to well-being and to psychological prosperity. So this is sort of an extension of what I talked about yesterday in the spiritual self-defense class. So if you're interested in spiritual self-defense class, that's just a free talk every Saturday at 2 o'clock. Doing them on Facebook Live, but I'm also going to post them on YouTube. So check those out. If you have recommendations for topics that you want me to talk about, you can put that in the comments below. And if you're not on the Facebook page or the Instagram page, then make sure you go check those out. Okay? Think deeply, and look for patterns, and put your existence first.